Welcome to our continuing lifelong journey of self-realization, understanding who we really are, not just understanding, but realizing and living it. And this Bhagavad Gita is the perfect vehicle for that. Please listen carefully to the sound vibration emanating from the lotus mouth of our beloved founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you and welcome. I'm sending out a chat. See if you see this. And if you do, or if you don't, please send back some response. We'll go ahead. So we're still in the first chapter. We've got a group of 4 verses together. Chapter 1, texts 32 through 35. Chapter entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. I'll just read the first verse of Sanskrit, Now we'll go ahead to the Prabhupada's translation and purport. Kim no Rajena Govinda, Kim Bogair Jivitenava, Yesham Arte Kankshitam no Rajamboga Sukhani Cha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Prabhupada. O Govinda, Arjuna speaking. O Govinda, of what avail to us are kingdoms, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed in this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and all relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, then why should I wish to kill them, though I may survive? O maintainer of all creatures, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. Purport. Arjuna has addressed Lord Krishna as Govinda, because Krishna is the object of all pleasures for cows and the senses. Let me know if you're there, and if you've seen my welcome message on the chat or not. Okay. I just interrupted myself on restream. Continuing the purport. By using the significant word, Arjuna indicates what will satisfy his senses. Although Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses, if we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, then automatically our own senses are satisfied. This is the open secret of Krishna consciousness. Materially, everyone wants to satisfy his senses, and he wants God to be the order supplier for such satisfaction. The Lord will satisfy the senses of the living entities as much as they deserve, but not to the extent that they may covet. But when one takes the opposite way, namely when one tries to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy one's own senses, then by the grace of Govinda, all desires of the living entity are satisfied. By the grace of Govinda, all desires of the living entity are satisfied. Arjuna's deep affection for community and family members is exhibited here partly due to his natural compassion for them. He is therefore not prepared to fight. Everyone wants to show his opulence to friends and relatives, but Arjuna fears that all his relatives and friends will be killed in the battlefield, and he will be unable to share his opulence after victory. This is a typical calculation of material life. The transcendental life is, however, different. Since the devotee wants to satisfy the desires of the Lord, he can, Lord willing, accept all kinds of opulence for the service of the Lord. And if the Lord is not willing, he should not accept a farthing. Arjuna did not want to kill his relatives, and if there were any need to kill them, he desired that Krishna killed them personally himself. At this point, he did not know that Krishna had already killed them before their coming into the battlefield, and that he was only to become an instrument for Krishna. This fact is disclosed in following chapters. As a natural devotee of the Lord, Arjuna did not like to retaliate against his miscreant cousins and brothers. But it was the Lord's plan that they should all be killed. The devotee of the Lord does not retaliate against the wrongdoer, but the Lord does not tolerate any mischief done to the devotee by the miscreants. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, that's capital H, Krishna's own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjuna wanted to excuse them. So please let me know if you can hear and see me. Or not. I'm putting the question in the chat. So this is Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharne, Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashtata Nisakarne, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is very significant that Arjuna is just like us, or I should say more precisely, we are just like Arjuna. How's that? Well, first of all, Krishna has arranged this with Arjuna for our sake. And Krishna and his pure devotees, they know exactly where we're at. Krishna knows that we're conditioned. He knows exactly how we're conditioned. And Vedavyas could see in the future, into the future, of how things are going to be now. So Krishna has no question about the level of consciousness, or what kind of consciousness, material or spiritual. And he's arranged 5,000 years ago because he knew how you are being today. Yep, Krishna is called Trikala Gya. Trikala means three phases of time: past, present, and future. Krishna knows past, he knows the present, and he knows the future. We may know a little bit about our past, and we've forgotten a lot even from the past in this life. One time, Prabhupada, a lady asked Prabhupada, well, Prabhupada, if we had so many lives before, why don't we remember them? And Prabhupada said, do you remember what you were doing when you were 3 years old? And the lady said, well, no. Prabhupada said, just because you don't remember something doesn't mean it didn't happen, or you didn't do that. So you may not even remember well what you did today at this time. At least you'd have to think about it, if you could remember. And so what about previous years, when you were 3, for example? So why do you expect to remember previous lifetimes? So we don't remember. Doesn't mean it doesn't. But Krishna knows past fully, present fully, everyone, everywhere, and what level. He doesn't even have to look at us. He's there with us. He sees us all the time. He knows our consciousness, just like Srila Prabhupada would look at us and know exactly where we were at. Better than we did, better than we do. He's looking at us now and he knows exactly where we're at. So he's given us his books and he says, everything is in my books. So Krishna has arranged this with Arjuna for us right here and now. And what is happening with Arjuna? He's torn, he's bewildered. Now he's got some spiritual insight. He understands his cousin brothers and family members are miscreant, as Prabhupada says here. He knows that. He knows, theoretically, a little bit maybe, that Krishna is supreme, but he knows for sure that Krishna wants him to fight. So he's torn. He's got the materialistic side, which is for him is the yoga maya. It's not Mahamaya like us. He's forgetting. He's not even able to hold his bow. He doesn't have even any strength to stand up. He sits down, collapses practically on the chariot, even though he's the most powerful, accomplished, intelligent, effective warrior and pure devotee. He's overwhelmed. So he's got that bewilderment side, and this even, and Prabhupada says, Arjuna, Arjuna's deep affection for community and family members is exhibited here partly due to his natural compassion for them. So Prabhupada makes the point elsewhere that a devotee is naturally compassionate, and that's not material. That's natural. That's one's spiritual nature coming out. And yet, in this case, as Prabhupada carries on, Arjuna's calculation is a mundane one. This is a tip. So Arjuna's desiring to show his opulence to friends and relatives, and therefore not wanting to fight with them or kill them, if they die, if he kills them, they won't be there for him to share and show his opulence to them. Prabhupada says this is a typical calculation of material life. So Arjuna he's mixed, and we're exactly the same. We have some sense, because of Prabhupada's mercy, of who we are, what God is. So many things about him. Some of us may be able to recite Bhagavad Gita front to back from memory. That doesn't mean we're necessarily understanding Krishna, but we know either way. We know so many things about Krishna, and we have the tendency to be complacent. Prabhupada said the conditioned jiva, the conditioned soul, has the tendency to enjoy separately, to enjoy matter. That's our inclination here. That's our default setting. Let's be honest about it. Maybe you are, but let's be really honest about it. That Krishna has given us Bhagavad Gita, the ABCs, to untangle ourselves and to go beyond any what Prabhupada calls the typical material calculation. Typical calculation of material life. So this is the open, and Prabhupada discloses what we call the open secret of Krishna consciousness, because when Arjuna comes eventually to the point of understanding that material calculation is simply causing him frustration, when we realize, and the quicker we realize, the more we realize that maintaining the material attachments, maintaining the material calculation, trying to work it all out ourselves, that's simply we're causing ourselves more suffering. We are responsible. We're causing our suffering, our pain. We're causing our illusion, our forgetfulness. Ultimately, we're responsible for everything in our lives. Does that mean we're the supreme controller? No. But Krishna gives us what we deserve. And what we deserve depends on what we do, what we think, what we desire. What goes around comes around. What we put out, we get back. As you sow, so shall you reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Basic laws of karma. So unless we understand that there are consequences for what we do, this is very important, because illusion or Maya tells us we can do whatever we want. There are no consequences. The law of karma doesn't even exist. And when Peter Burwash, very successful businessman devotee, first heard Prabhupada told him two things. He said, I met my spiritual master. He told me two things, most important things for spiritual life. One, when you understand the laws of karma, your spiritual life begins. And secondly, don't be angry at the vehicle of your karma. If someone makes trouble for you, someone hits you or insults you. I mean, Lord Jesus said he was the perfect example also. If someone slaps you, turn the other cheek. Now, that's a very high level, and we may not be ready to do that, but we should not deny just because we're not able to do it. We shouldn't change the philosophy and become PC. That, oh, that's unrealistic. I should just forgive everyone, or I should tolerate. Just because it's a very high standard, even beyond our level now, maybe not, even beyond our level now, doesn't mean we change the principle, change the philosophy. That's dangerous. To change the philosophy according to our experience, our interpretation, that's called the ascending process. I want to understand, I want to interpret, I want to explain Bhagavad Gita, Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada's teaching, according to my understanding. Now, that's a whole nother subject of discussion, but the attitude that I am not the supreme, I am not all intelligent. Krishna knows everything, and as I connect more fully with him by chanting without offense, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and calling out, like Prabhupada says, the desperate cry of the child for the mother. In that mood, we can become fully clear and realize everything as much as Krishna wants. So this open secret is like that. if we try to serve Krishna, if we try to submit ourselves, humble ourselves in our service, especially starting with our chanting in Krishna's service, and come to the point more and more of trying to satisfy him, not artificially, but deeply, more and more from the heart, learning to love Krishna by being attracted to him, by following the instructions of the spiritual master. That faith, Shraddha, which is the first step in bhakti, ado shado tata sadhu, tabhajana. And then that faith, Prabhupada also uses the word attraction for faith. There's some attraction. Oh, when we first see the devotees, or we first hear about Krishna consciousness, oh, that sounds interesting, or sounds very intelligent, or it sounds beyond whatever, like it's something beyond what I've ever heard. And it makes sense. And those devotees seem so happy and peaceful and generous and peaceful and charitable and confident. I want some of that. So that faith deepens and develops into deep conviction. Prabhupada was meeting with some of the most senior leaders of the movement, all the GBC and senior leaders, and he said, "Are you convinced?" And he went around and asked every single one of them, "Are you convinced?" So Prabhupada was very direct. He was simultaneously also very kind. And he would also apply the tough love, because he knew that according to what we do now, every day, every moment, determines what we're going to get. That's spiritually, it's also a fact. There is what I call Krishna karma. Yayatam mam prapadyante, Krishna describes it in Bhagavad Gita. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly, transcendentally. So then that open secret is that the more I try to satisfy Krishna, the more I become satisfied. I become full. I'm connected with my diamond qualities, I call them. My diamond qualities are natural confidence, peacefulness, joy, compassion, love, self-control, tolerance, cleanliness, austerity, mercy. So by learning how to be fully enthusiastic in doing that, because in the beginning it may be very easy. We know ourselves. It seems so easy and so blissful, and Krishna gave us tastes of ecstasy, and we see that with new people now. But as we go on, Krishna expects us to grow, to mature, to become fully responsible ourselves, so that we choose how much I get from Krishna by how much I give to Krishna. Now that sounds like a material calculation I'm going to get, but it's important to desire for freedom. That's the natural quality of the soul. So someone may say, oh, we shouldn't desire liberation. We should just desire to serve Krishna. Of course, on the highest level. But if you're not on that level, then desiring to be liberated, to be peaceful, to be happy, to be joyful, to be generous in Krishna consciousness, that desire should be cultivated. You may not hear these type of things, but we want to, we pray, Krishna, please give me the desire. And Prabhupada said, if you don't have a desire, then you pray to have a desire to have a desire, or to pray to have a desire to have a desire to have a desire. To chant your holy names with full focus, with full surrender, with full devotion and love and ecstasy. We want to hone our desire. We want to take charge of our desires and use them to become steady. Because as we go on, Krishna will test us. Krishna will allow us, rather, to see the deeper anarthas, which we may not even know are there. And they're scary as heck. Prabhupada says that the desire for sense gratification runs like a dark black river in the heart. And it is a rare soul who's willing to go there, go into the dark closet and bring out the skeletons. We've all got them, unless we're pretending just to be transcendental. Oh, I'm chanting Hare Krishna so many rounds a day, and I go to Mangalarti sometimes, and I'm following at least 3 regular principles. But when I talk to my wife or my husband or my friend or I'm not very nice, I'm harsh, whatever. What's going on there? Let's look in and see. Am I avoiding my frustration or my fear or my anger or my resentment or my lust? I think, oh, I do these things there, and I chant Hare Krishna regularly. Therefore, I'm transcendental. And we bypass, we pretend that all the anarthas are sitting there. Now, sure, if we're chanting, we've dealt with so many anarthas. But what about the rest of them? Why are we allowing ourselves to waste time or to continue going back to bad habits? Because they're anarthas which we are maintaining, which we're holding on to, or avoiding, which is the same thing. So as long as we avoid them, as long as we do this spiritual bypassing, it's like putting icing on a mud pie. The pie is mud. We put icing on, so, oh, very nice, sweet. Yeah, right. Take a slice, take a bite. So that's spiritual bypassing, or the pretense of transcendence. Dangerous. The impersonalists do that. So Prabhupada is giving us clearly the open secret. It's a secret that because everyone's avoiding it. It's right there. It's like the elephant in the room. The more I satisfy Krishna, the more I become satisfied. Prabhupada gives so many examples. Watering the root of the tree, feeding the stomach, going to the source, connecting with, serving the source, serving God. That is serving Krishna. That is the open, it's secret because people avoid it. But it's open, it's right there. And it's so simple. But some of us are very complicated. So we don't take it. We may not be taking it very seriously. Would someone tell me if you're there, if you can hear or see me? I'm not seeing any chats. In any case, that's the open, as open as I said. It's right there, it's obvious. No one's keeping it from us. And yet you listen to either the most apparently philosophical, scientific, learned, educated scholars, philosophers, scientists, diplomats. They talk as when you hear them talk about anything scientific or philosophical, or historical, it's obvious they accept that Darwin's theory of evolution, which is completely nonsense. There's no evidence for it. So it's noteworthy how Krishna is relating with Arjuna. Now, as I mentioned before, the title of this lecture is "Argue with God, Argue with Krishna?" ? Because here Arjuna is starting to challenge. He knows Krishna wants him to fight, and yet he's saying, why should we do it? What will we gain? Then why should I wish to kill them, though I may survive? Arjuna is starting to challenge Krishna. And what does Krishna do? Does Krishna jump in and say, hang on, I'm God, I know best. You just do what I tell you to do. He never says that. In fact, at the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 18, he says, Arjuna, I've explained everything to you. Now, you do what you wish to do. Prabhupada explains, Krishna never interferes with the minute independence of the living entity. We have choice. Materially and spiritually, that is tremendously significant. Our choice is powerful. Our choice determines our experience of life. Our choices determine our experience of life, materially and spiritually. As they surrender unto me, Krishna says, I reward them accordingly. And Krishna wants to give us everything. And we're often holding back, avoiding, saying, yes, this much, Krishna, but no more. I'll surrender that bad habit, this attachment, this complacency, this laziness, this stubbornness, this independence, but not that independence, not that bad habit, not that complacency. I want this, I need this. So, like Arjuna, we're going back and forth. We've got this challenge, we've got this dichotomy, this struggle. And when people say that Kurukshetra symbolizes the battlefield of life, in one sense, they're right. Obviously, Kurukshetra is a real place. You can go there, and the earth is stained reddish because of all the blood of all those thousands that died there, were killed there on the battlefield 5,000 years ago. It's a holy place of pilgrimage, which even Dhritarashtra mentions. What did my sons and the sons of Dhritarashtra do after assembling at the holy place of pilgrimage, Kurukshetra? Kim Makurvata Purvata. What did they do? He was very concerned because he knew it was a holy place. So we're on the battlefield of life. Every day we have this inner struggle, we have this conflict. Part of us wants to go to Krishna. Part of us wants to stay comfortably in the lap of Maya. Srila Thakur, Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. You're sleeping in the lap of the witch known as Maya. Why don't you use your time and days to serve the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and friend, Govinda? So we are just like Arjuna. Exactly. Whatever degree is not relevant. But we are on the battlefield. Every day we're on the battlefield. And we need to be enthusiastic in order to progress. And if we haven't progressed, we've run into a valley or slumped a bit, then we find ways to reestablish and build up again, especially by chanting without offense. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the point I was starting to make was that how does Krishna relate with Arjuna when he starts the challenge, and pretty soon he's going to start arguing, giving Krishna arguments why he should not do what Krishna wants. That Krishna is indirectly, he's saying you're wrong. If the women become degraded, then and they're all valid arguments from the mundane point of view, and culturally, most of them should be observed. But without the Krishna consciousness, without the submission and the service and the engagement, the preaching, then there's no real life. There's no real real enthusiasm, no strength. And Prabhupada in 1973 in Los Angeles, on a morning walk, they were talking about devotees entering into politics. And you may know there was a Krishna in God We Trust party started by devotees many years back when Prabhupada was still here. Now, that didn't continue, but they were saying that, oh, Prabhupada, because we represent everything that's completely diametrically opposed to what people want, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and meat eating, no one's gonna vote for us. So Prabhupada says, nobody may vote, but we must go on preaching. That I have already explained. Some of the university. The whole world is illiterate. Does it mean university should be stopped? University must be there. One who is fortunate will come and take education. It is not an argument that people are illiterate. They don't care for it. Therefore, let the university be closed. This is no argument. And Prabhupada says, he develops. Yes, we have to work. That is preaching. You don't think preaching is so easy going, eating, sleeping, and sometimes chanting Haribol. That's all. That is not preaching. We must be ready to implant Krishna consciousness ideas throughout the whole world. Then Prabhupada continues after devotee makes a comment. The deity worship program is meant for us to keep us safe. The deity worship program is meant for us to keep us safe. If we neglect deity worship, we shall also fall. But that is not the all duty finished. In other words, deity worship isn't everything. Acharyam eva hare pujam ya shadhaye hate. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.247. Archa means deity. If anyone is worshiping the deity very nicely, but not tad bhakteshu chanyeshu, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.247, same verse, but he does not know that someone's worshiping the deity very nicely, but he does not know, Prabhupada says, anything more, who is a devotee, who is non-devotee, what is the duty to the world, sabhakta prakrita smita, same verse. He is material devotee. He is material devotee. So we have to take the responsibility to understand who is actually a pure devotee and what is our duty to the people in general. And then you make advancement. I'll repeat that. So we have to take the responsibility to understand who is actually a pure devotee and what is our duty to the people in general. So not only understanding devotee philosophy, but what is our duty, which comes out of the philosophy, and to the people in general. Then you make advancement. Then you become Madhyamadikari, advanced devotee. Just like these people, either in India or here, They remain simply churchianity, going to the church without any understanding. Therefore, it is failing. It is now. Churches are being closed. Similarly, if you do not keep yourself fit to preach, then your temples will be all closed in due course of time. I'll repeat that. Prabhupada says, similarly, if you do not keep yourself fit to preach, then your temples will be all closed in due course of time. Prabhupada is warning us, advising us, cautioning us. Without preaching, you'll not feel enthused to continue the temple worship. And without temple worship, you cannot keep yourself pure and clean. The two things, deity worship and preaching, must go on parallel. Then there is success. In modern time, either Hindus, Muslim, or Christian, because in these places there is no teaching or philosophy, therefore they are closing, either mosque or temple or church. They will close. Nobody makes a comment. Prabhupada says, yes, that is preaching, getting good results from our activity. Therefore, we are writing so many books. Unless we take care of the books and preach and read what ourselves, understand the philosophy, this Hare Krishna will be finished within few years because there will be no life. How long one can artificially go on? Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. That will be artificial. No life. Prabhupada continues after devotee's comment. Without preaching, without understanding philosophy, you cannot keep your strength. So Prabhupada connects the two, preaching and understanding philosophy. Without that, you cannot keep your strength. Everyone should be thoroughly well conversed with the philosophy which we are putting forward. That means you read thoroughly every day. Prabhupada says you must read thoroughly every day. So many books we have got. And Bhagavat is so perfect that any verse you read, you get a new enlightenment. Prabhupada's telling us how, and this is what we experience. Bhagavatam is so perfect, Bhagavatam or Gita, that any verse you read, you get a new enlightenment. It is so nice. Either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavat. But it is not ordinary writing. So, amazing talk Prabhupada gave on that morning walk, 1973, did I say, in LA? At, December 12th, 1973. Anyone who wants that reference, I can send it to you. Actually, just make a note of it. Lecture, which you can find yourself. Morning walk, December 12th, 1973, Los Angeles. If you want me to put it in chat, I can do that as well. So, anyone hearing me or seeing me? I'm not sure if I've seen any chats. I don't think so. No one has a notice. So what's going on? We don't know. No, we don't want that. Don't see any chats. All right, no problem. So, coming closer to the end, but my point was that Krishna did not interrupt or reject Arjuna's challenges or arguments. What did he do? Krishna listened. Krishna listened. He didn't do anything else. He just listened. That's significant. He knew exactly where Arjuna was at, just as Krishna knows exactly where we're at. He doesn't interrupt us. He doesn't interfere with our little independence. He's waiting for us to turn to him. He gives us impetus, he gives us hints, he gives us some encouragement. He sent Prabhupada. His pure devotee went through so much austerity, almost lost his life due to heart attacks. Prabhupada, it's so much. There's a 7-volume biography, Prabhupada Lilamrita, Pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. And the first chapter is a lifetime in preparation. It's all of Prabhupada's lifetime. Prabhupada said, there's never a time when I forgot Krishna. So that deep faith and conviction, by following what he says, by seeing accepting the open secret and practicing. So it's very important to understand that Krishna was empathizing with Arjuna. He felt for his suffering as he does for ours. He feels for us, and he never leaves us, even when we reject him wholeheartedly. He's in Darwin's heart. He's in Dawkins' heart. He's in the atheist's heart. He doesn't leave us. He doesn't leave them. He doesn't leave us because we have atheistic or materialistic tendencies. And we can pray to Krishna. Krishna wants us to approach him in humility. Oh, my Lord, oh, energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Please engage me in your service. Excuse me. Like the desperate cry for the child from mother. And we can be upfront with Krishna. Krishna, it's important. We share our bewilderment, share our doubts, share our challenges, our arguments, whatever's there. Prabhupada said that at least one time, to some university students who had come to a program. He said, if you just chant Hare Krishna, that's sufficient. That's complete. If you want to understand more philosophy, we have all these books. Study these books. And if you have doubts or you have challenges, come here and argue with us. So Arjuna's giving the example. He's presenting all his arguments. And Krishna patiently, tolerantly, how do you relate when someone gives you a mundane argument, or your mind gives you a mundane argument? You may react, start arguing against it. You may accept it. Usually, a devotee, when someone challenges with a mundane argument, we want to defeat them and show them, actually, Krishna's God. And Krishna consciousness is a perfect and most wonderful process for you, for that person. Now, it's not the same as with Krishna Arjuna, but in principle it is. Let's understand and accept that. Krishna has arranged this situation for us. The situation with Arjuna. It's for us. That's all. Because Krishna cares about us. He wants to know, he wants to understand. He wants us to be open and share, especially in prayer, what's real for us. If we pretend or don't tell Krishna, he's not going to force us to be open and humble and vulnerable. He's waiting for us to do that. And you may think, oh, Krishna knows what I think, what I feel. He does. But unless you take action, unless you're proactive, unless you proactively share that with Krishna and pray, beg him to, he'll listen, but beg him to change it. Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya prayed, oh my Lord, you have kindly, what is it? You have so kindly made approach to you easy by the chanting of your holy name. But unfortunate as I am, I have no attraction for them. Lord Chaitanya, the perfect exemplary epitome of a devotee. I have no attraction for them. We tell Krishna, state it, declare it boldly in confidence. And as Srila Rupa Goswami says, Guyam Akhyati Prichati, that two of the ways of exchanging love between devotees is inquiring confidentially and revealing one's mind in confidence. So with Krishna, he's fully confidential, and it's important that we pray, we talk to Krishna. We're preparing to talk to Krishna, meet Krishna, see Krishna, and talk to Krishna face to face. Prabhupada said, you continue to chant Hare Krishna and talk to Krishna, and one day he will talk to you. You'll see him face to face, just like you and I, if we could see each other or be in each other's presence physically, same. And we develop the strength and the conviction and the enthusiasm to do that by looking for opportunities to preach. It doesn't just mean book distribution. It means whoever you see, or whoever you see, you look for ways that person, of course, we have a sense if a person's interested or not. We don't just talk to everyone about Krishna consciousness. That can be an offense. But we go on Harinam, that's preaching, because we don't limit who can hear the holy names, but we don't necessarily share the glories of. Ninth offense is to explain the glories of the holy name to the faithless. So we discriminate who we talk to, but we look for people, and we pray to people, pray to Krishna, and maybe it's one of our relatives, or our parents, or one of our children or grandchildren. Look for ways to give them the Krishna consciousness. It isn't necessarily explaining the philosophy. However, you see that you could help them advance further in Krishna consciousness, maybe giving them prasadam. I go to the Saturday market here in Fangarai, and across from the farmers market, we have our Food for Life Hare Krishna prasadam stall, and there's a queue around the block. Usually, I'm going up there to help set up the book table and offer. And I think, oh, look at all these devotees. They're lining up to get prasadam. They have no idea, most of them, maybe all of them. Look at all these devotees. So it's really enthusing for me, and I get to be in that atmosphere. The Buddhimanta and all the other wonderful devotees here have been doing and creating and purifying the atmosphere for years, along with Atanu and Padma at Gopal's, distributing prasadam every day practically, along with doing Harinam, etc. So we'll finish up, and I don't know if anyone has any comments. I haven't seen any yet, but let me know if you could hear me or see me. And give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or Hari Hari Bol. And if you're not seeing this live and you see it later, recorded, you can also put comments in the Krishna Katha Facebook or YouTube comment on those pages. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let us now offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Vanchakalpatarishcha kripa sindhuveva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you.